Alright YouTube, so for this vlog, the Memorial Day special, I'll be doing my first ever dual movie review for Memorial Day weekend. The movies Stitch and Lilo and Stitch, my apologies, and Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning both came out. I saw both movies. Admittedly, I saw Lilo and Stitch and just got back from Mission Impossible. I really like both movies. I would say I honestly like Lilo and Stitch a little bit more than Mission Impossible, but I really love both movies. There were a few things I didn't like about both movies, which was Lilo and Stitch. There were parts where I felt kind of tedious and dragged on, whereas important parts were kind of sped through, whereas Mission Impossible, not that important parts were sped through, but towards like the second third, there were like parts where it were just very slow, but it was definitely worth it, and I'm glad I stuck it out for the ending of Mission Impossible, because it definitely ended on a great note. This will be a spoiler-free review for both movies, but I will say that, you know, I'm super glad I stuck it out for this Mission Impossible. So something kind of surprising about Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, is that its opening crawl doesn't happen, or opening equivalent to the Star Wars crawl, I should say, because not every movie's titles are called the crawl like Star Wars. But anyways, it doesn't happen until almost half an hour in the movie, but it's certainly worth it. And early on, we see a certain character have a noble sacrifice, which I definitely salute. And the movie had great action, great stunts. Tom Cruise and Haley Atwell were both amazing in this movie, as well as all the other familiar characters, but I really like both those two characters especially. I think they could have had a little more romantic chemistry, but what can you do? It was still a great movie nonetheless. So before I forget, I gotta say that I actually saw a Mission Impossible movie before this in theaters, which was the 2015, I believe that was the 5th Mission Impossible, not 100% sure, but the significance of this is that I saw it with 914 Podcast Luke, which that was before he was even the Luke Podcast, which, like, wow, I feel old now, and it was 10 years ago, but, you know, it's crazy to think how time flies sometimes, but it was a great movie to see in theaters, so shout out to Luke. We got to see another Mission Impossible movie together. Now, my favorite part about Mission Impossible were the flashbacks to the early Mission Impossible movies, which were absolutely incredible, and it really helped me understand the story more, as well as make this feel like a more heartfelt finale. I gotta say, I really like the soldier characters that were underwater, because it kind of gave me Star Wars vibes, but I especially love Katie O'Brien's character, who doesn't have a name in the movie, at least not one that I picked up on, but I remember her from Love Lies Bleeding, as well as the Wonder Woman fan cast, because it's very strong. And I like the other two characters who were also in the submarine. I think the submarine scene was super cool, as well as the scene where Grace, who's played by Haley Atwell, swims down and rescues Ethan Hunt, who's Tom Cruise's character. Can't believe I haven't mentioned him by character name in this vlog yet. That's kind of embarrassing, but keep in mind I haven't seen a Mission Impossible movie in the theater in 10 years. Now on to Lilo and Stitch. I think it was like super cool, funny, cute. I don't have as much to say about this movie because, you know, unlike Mission Impossible, it's not a conclusion. It's rather a startup to a cinematic universe. Definitely one of the better live action Disney movies. Most of them were either garbage, or I couldn't be bothered to see, or I just haven't seen, so I can't really judge. But this definitely gets 2 thumbs up from Jones Beach. And what I especially liked was the animation for for Stitch and Lilo too. You know, a lot of cool characters, and the opening kind of gave me like Star Wars Clone Wars 2003 vibes, with like the Galactic Senate and, you know, the space science experiments. And there was definitely a lot of emotional and cool scenes in the movie that kind of reminded me of myself when I was young. And even though I wasn't super into Lilo and Stitch, or at least I didn't follow it much, I do remember enjoying it, watching it as a kid. But unfortunately, I don't have too much nostalgia behind it. But the movie was great. Both overall were great movies, so hopefully I described them well without giving spoilers. And shout out again to Luke Podcast. Forgot the name, sorry. But yeah, until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more soon. Happy Memorial Day. Goodbye.